Hey everyone, my name is Mr. Ford. I'm the HVAC teacher here at Pennsauken High School, and today we are working on our festive holiday tree pipe project. All right, this is a nice little tree. You can take it home, you can put some lights on it, you can decorate it, you can give it to a loved one in the family. This is a great way for kids to learn how to solder, how to measure, how to cut, how to handle copper pipe, and how to follow different procedures and directions in order to build this beautiful festive tree. So I'm going to walk you guys through a couple steps here, and then we'll get going. And before, I must mention that this copper tree was actually a student project. The student that came up with it is actually sitting over here working on one right now. Okay, and we thought it was a good idea to kind of change things up. And even though we're in remote learning and online learning right now, our students are currently working online on a business project. They're building their own business, a company, brand, logo, and meanwhile, when they come in the shop, we'll be working on hands-on projects. So let's get started, all right? So safety glasses, they're gonna fog up a little bit. Bear with us. All right, so our first step here is going to be to lay out and measure copper. We're using 1/4-inch copper pipe. This is refrigeration tubing. And this is one of the pipes that we work with here in the school. And the proper way to lay this out here is you're going to put your hand down and hold the piece that's sticking out. We call this the tail. We're going to hold the tail and we're going to roll it out. Okay, just like this. This is the proper way to do it. From here, now I have a nice piece laid out here. We'll kind of bend it, flex it out, try and straighten it out. Now there's a list of sizes that we have to cut for this. And the list of sizes is actually listed out on a handout and on the board. However, I already have these pre-cut for you guys, all right? So you'll take your tape measure, and we're gonna start out here, pulling the cap off. And then from this point here, we're gonna take this, and our first measurement is gonna be at 2.5 inches. So I'm gonna find my 2, go about there, and we'll pass it halfway. I'm gonna make a mark with my marker. Right here, here, 2.5. Boom, okay? That's gonna be my first cut. Now, that's where we start working with tools like copper cutter, tubing cutter, right? This piece of equipment is used in just about any type of piping project, plumbing, refrigeration, air conditioning. This is one tool that we use, and you'll notice here that the arm oscillates up and down as you turn this. All right, it's pretty cool. So what we'll do here is take our first measurement. I'm gonna spin this up to my mark, line up the wheel, and you'll notice here, I'm gonna tighten it a little bit to where it still moves around. I'm not gonna crush it. If you over tighten it, this will not work. You will crush it, and you're just wasting copper. All right, so now the proper way to cut this is tighten a little bit. I'm gonna spin this, all right? Spin it around, spin it in this opposite direction. And then here you can stop. Make sure as you're turning it, you'll feel the wheels loosen up. You'll see it. See how it's tight right now? Watch. And as I turn this, it'll loosen up. And pretty soon, it'll just start going around on its own. That means I need to tighten this again. So I give a little 1/4 of a turn, back around, 1/4 of a turn, back around, 1/4 of a turn, back around. And then watch, pops right off, all right? That's our first piece. Next, again, here we go. We're back with our project, and we have all our copper pieces already cut out, all right? So from here, I have my 2.5-inch piece, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, and 6.5. I only have one piece of 6.5, all right? So those are the 1/4-inch copper sizes that I have already cut out for you. And now we're gonna move into the tree trunk. Look at this, this is 7/8 pipe, 10.5 inches. All right, so I have cut this off already, and I'm gonna explain to you guys how to measure this. Now when we take our measurement, we're actually looking down the tube here, and I want you to picture like a pizza. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna break it down into quarters. And I'm gonna take my marker here, and I'm gonna picture this as a pie chart or a pizza. I'm just gonna break it into 4 equal pieces. I'm just gonna eyeball it. And there I have my marks, okay? And the reason I do this is because I want to do I want my tree branches coming in from 90-degree angles. So if we take this and we make a cross over here, I have 4 90-degree angles to work with, right? I only need 2. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my line, I'm gonna extend it down a little bit. I'm gonna extend my line down here a little bit, just like that. Now I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna place it into my vise, and I'm gonna angle it to where I have at least one of my lines coming straight down. Then I'm gonna find a straight edge. You can use a ruler, you can use anything straight. This is just a piece of sheet metal here, aluminum. And I'm gonna try and line this up the best I can. And I'm going to just make my mark, just like this. Okay, that's my first one. Now, I'm gonna take and make a second one on my other line that I extended. Okay? Just like this. Same thing. I'm gonna line it up here with my mark, and then I'm just gonna make a straight line, straight down, just like that. Okay? So for that step, I'm gonna make sure that we have 2 lines going down. And one line, it doesn't matter. We're gonna pick one, and we're gonna mark it as A. We're gonna mark one as B. So I have an A line and a B line, all right? So from there, I'm gonna go back to my A line. And according to the directions of the project, I'm gonna need my tape measure. With my tape measure here, first step for the A line is I'm gonna take from whatever side I'm gonna consider top or bottom, and I'm gonna make a 1/2 inch mark on my line. I'm gonna make a little dot. From the top down, 1/2 inch, okay? So from there, I'm gonna take it, and now I'm gonna space that out every inch, okay? So now it's 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6, 7.5, 8, okay? So 8.5 inches is my last one. Now I'm gonna switch back to this side here, go to my B line, and on my B line, do the same thing, but a little bit differently. Take my tape measure, and from here, I'm gonna mark 1 inch. Good, so I'm measuring 1 inch down. Remember on A line we measured a 1/2 inch down. On B line, we're measuring 1 inch down. So from here, I'm gonna mark all the way down. So I got, right? I started at 1, so I'm going 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch, 6, and 7. And 8 is your last mark, okay? So from there, I have my pipe. You'll notice I have my line and my measurements on there. Starting A line with 1/2 inch and then spaced out every inch. And then B line, starting at 1 inch, spaced out every inch, all the way to 8 inches. All right? That's the next step. So we had our lines measured out right here, right? So we have our A side and our B side, and we have our little dots that we made on here. So those are gonna be our drill points, okay? And luckily, I already have another piece of pipe here already drilled to save you guys 15 minutes of just noise. But I am going to drill one for you to save one spot left, okay? I'll give you the idea on how to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it into my vise, okay? For those of you that don't know, this is called the vise. It holds things steady on a worktop, workbench, right? And I have my hole here lined up. Okay, you got to make sure that you have safety glasses on for this part, especially if you're drilling, if you're recording, your audio team, you're doing good to stay back. All right, so here we're going to start our drill. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to line this up with my dot right here, and I'm using a 1/4 inch drill because I'm using a 1/4 inch pipe. Very important part. Sorry about that. All right, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to line it up, and I'm just going to pulse it until I get something started. Because if you ever tried drilling in the copper pipe, trying to drill into a round surface doesn't really work too well. Okay? But this will help them understand when they do their copper, they have a project later on in the year where they have to solder all 4 corners and add an access valve, which is a 1/4 inch access valve. And once everything's soldered, we apply pressure to it, put it into a tub of water, and check for leaks. So this will help them practice for this type of activity. All right, so here we go. Just gonna pulse it, there we go, through the top. Now I need to go through the bottom. Okay, so now I'm through the bottom. Okay? I'm gonna grab a little plate here, set this off to the side. And now after doing that, when you drill through, we suggest doing one side first, clean it up, and then go to the other side. And I'll show you what I mean by clean it up. So right now, I'm gonna make sure if there's any burrs or anything sticking off of here, take my needle nose pliers, pull them off the best that I can, because this stuff will be sharp. Do I recommend wearing gloves? I do. You got all your pieces cut?
I'm on
You on what? Which one you on? 2.5 inches? We use our cell phones to take pictures of stuff.
I'm on 3.
Wait, what?
We use our cell phones to take pictures. At some point, we'll get a little snug trying to put some of this copper into these holes. Look, little hammer, copper, right? If you get stuck, I got the lip already coming out, use your vise again. Just tap this in. Line it up, tap it in. You want to find this to be about halfway. All right, a little bit more. Good. Okay, same for that one. Good. And then I'm going to work my way down my copper sizes I already have cut. Right? Unless you're going to make a unique tree, maybe a tree from Whoville or something like that, go for it. Right? We all love the Grinch. Who doesn't love the Grinch? All right? So here, we're getting our pieces set in place. Right? And I'm going to do this all the way down to the bottom. I'm trying my best to keep you guys entertained while doing this. Right? So a lot of the skills that you're learning here is really just handling materials, experiences with tools, following directions, because how many times you guys get something new at your house and then you try to put something together and you never follow directions and you're like, I got like 10 extra screws left over. I don't know what this wheel's for, right? You're probably building a bike, but you know, where's this wheel go? I don't know. So a lot of the skills here is just following directions, right? And you can see it's starting to come together, right? And as we get this together, we'll work our way down. All right, you guys cut that, please. Manipulate it, move it around like you need it. Here, like this. Okay, so this is the assembling of the tree branches, and then we're going to move into soldering, soft soldering. And I will set that up in a second. We're going to rotate this. It's going to be sitting horizontal, and we're going to apply flux, and then we're going to solder this. Hey guys, alright, so on this step, I have all my copper cut out, placed it into the tree, and this is what I want it to look like when I get to this point. The top here, right, take this off here, this is just a reduction of sizes. So I'm working here with 7/8, and I'm going to work my way down. 3/4, 5/8, ½ inch, 3/8, and then eventually I'll put 1/4 inch on top to make a design for the tree topper. But for now, I'm going to set this off to the side. And I'm going to begin my soldering process. All right? So from that point, I'm just going to take my tree, I'm going to loosen the vise, I'm going to lay it down on its side, and I'm going to start soldering one by one. All right? All right. On this step, I'm working with flux, a flux brush, solder, and a torch. So from here, before I can solder, I need to make sure my surface is clean. And I went over and straightened it with some sandpaper to scuff it up a little bit. And I'm just going to take my flux here, my flux brush, and I'm going to just dab it inside, and I'm going to brush it around the area of the pipe that I want to solder to keep it in place. This is very, very similar to just any type of soft soldering you're going to do, maybe at your house, fix a water pipe, replace a valve. Some soft soldering is done in refrigeration, but not much. Very rare applications of these. They do a lot of brazing. So here, as you see, I'm just going down the line. I'm working on each side. Boom, boom, boom. All the way down the line. All right. In there a little bit. A little flux goes a long way. There we go. Okay, good. Beautiful. Wonderful. Fantastic. All right, cool. So now, I'm going to begin my soldering process. I'm using soft solder here, or you have some pulled off the roll. I like to leave it on the roll, it's just how I work with it, dab at the same time. I'm going to fire up my torch here, make sure you got your safety glasses on. Alright, so I'm going to turn my torch on, I'm going to keep it on low heat. I don't want it too hot. Okay, so that's a little too high. I'm going to turn it down. Stop right there. And I just want to heat this up enough where this solder is going to melt right along and hold these pipes in place. So I'm going to do it one at a time all the way down. Right? And this solder melts rather quickly. Doesn't take a lot of heat. Alright, I'm just going to work my way down the line. One at a time. Before I turn it off, I just want to check and see if there's any areas I need to fix. There's a couple here. A couple areas here from the solder. It's okay. It happens. Alright, that looks good. Put this down, I'm going to turn the torch off. And then from there, I'm going to let it cool down a couple minutes before I switch sides and continue the process. Hey guys, alright, so we're going to finish the top of the tree now. So right here I have this little fancy thing at the top. You can design it any way you want. However, when you're starting with 7/8 pipe as your overall size, you need to reduce down as the tree goes up or your tree topper. So I had 7/8, then I went from 7/8 to 3/4, 3/4 to 5/8, 5/8 to 1/2 inch, and then 1/2 inch to 3/8, and then if you want to go 1/4 inch, you can. However, I'm just going to work with what I have here because I like that. And I have it all set up. I already put my flux on it. And I'm just going to solder this portion of it. And then I'll show you how to do the base. Here we go. Hey guys, alright, so we're going to make the base for this tree now. Everything's soldered, it's cooled down, and then I will go back and clean it up when we finish the base. Now to go back and clean it up, what I'll do is I'll go back over with a rag, and all these dark spots will come right off. This is the flux that was on there. So I'm going to take a dry rag, go through and wipe this stuff off, then I'll go back with steel wool or sandpaper and brush over this stuff and brighten it up. Alright, but for now, I'm going to show you guys how to make the base. So I'm going to take my tree, I got a 4x4 block here, because this is a little bit heavy. This was cut by our wood shop here, if you guys don't know. We got carpentry down the hall, and we got a 4x4, they cut me 4-inch blocks for the bases. So what I want to do is I want to take my tree, I just want to measure the depth, because you don't want to, everyone needs a tree stand for their tree. Right, so I'm going to measure the depth, I want it to sit about right there. Just going to make a little mark. I'm going to set my tree off to the side. I'm going to open up my vise, and since I am working with 7/8 copper, I just want to get this secured. Make sure it's straight. I got this base part here, I'll face it towards you guys so you can see it. Alright, so I got my mark there, there's my mark. Make sure it's tight, I don't want to smash the block. Now I'm going to use a 7/8 paddle bit. Right here, 7/8 paddle bit. And on this paddle bit, I'm going to pick my center point. Which is here. I'm going to pick my center point on the block. And then from here, I want to try and drill down to where I made this mark, so about halfway. Right? I'm going to go here, switch about halfway. And I'll just start the drill. I'll start pulsing to start it. Then from there, you'll see, we'll just start shooting through. Up, good job. So, I'm going to reverse down here. Go a little bit deeper with it. Put that back in. That'll do it. Now I'll take it back out. Here. Unscrew this, tap it upside down. Here. We'll check the depth and make sure it looks good. So that looks really good. Again, I'll go back and clean it up. I will use, again, some steel wool or soft sandpaper. I'll go through and brighten this up and it'll look real nice. And feel free when you get home, you can either paint the block, you can get some spray paint, or you can design it, or if you're into wood burning, you can always put someone's name on there. And you can always go out and get what they call DTM, that's direct to metal paint. And you can paint this silver, paint any color you want. Alright, but for now, this is where I'm going to leave this. And guess what Mrs. Ford's getting for Christmas?